Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time not often when the pages of history pause, waiting for bold hands to write what comes next. That time is now. That moment is ours. Today, we're not talking about politics. We're not here to get lost in red tape or diplomatic pleasantries. No, we're here to talk about a vision sharp, clear, unapologetic. A vision that stands tall in the storm, that refuses to bow, that dares to reclaim what is rightfully within reach. I call it the Denzel Reclaim Plan. At the heart of this plan is an alliance forged not out of convenience, but out of courage, the strategic partnership between India and Israel, two nations separated by geography, but united by spirit. One, the world's largest democracy with a rising roar of innovation and tradition. The other, a beacon of resilience, sharp intelligence, and unmatched technological drive. Together, they're not just stronger, they're unstoppable. This is not about power for the sake of power. This is about responsibility. Responsibility to protect, to build, to lead. India brings scale, population, culture, wisdom that stretches back thousands of years. A young, hungry workforce and an economic engine ready to roar louder than ever before. Israel brings precision, technology, intelligence, a defense structure that has been hardened by necessity and sharpened by brilliance. Put those two forces together and what do you get? A cybersecurity network that no enemy can penetrate, agricultural cooperation that turns deserts into gardens, defense systems that don't just respond, they anticipate. AI research that isn't just smart, it's ethical, purposeful, human, driven. This alliance is not a whisper in the backroom. It's a declaration, a statement to the world that we will not sit quietly while instability festers, while threats multiply, while progress stalls. We will act, we will lead, and yes, we will reclaim innovation from stagnation, reclaim diplomacy from division, reclaim strength from compromise, reclaim peace not through passivity but through preparedness. The strategic convergence of India's scale and Israel's precision represents a bold and necessary alliance in a rapidly shifting global order. These are two nations with fundamentally different pasts, yet their futures are beginning to echo each other in powerful ways. On one side, India, a vast ancient civilization, now the world's most populous democracy, surging forward with a youthful population, a growing economy, and a hunger for innovation. On the other side, Israel, a nation small in size but monumental in impact, known for its technological breakthroughs, military intelligence, and a culture of resilience forged through decades of adversity. Together, they embody a fusion of quantity and quality, of breadth and depth, of potential and precision. India's scale cannot be overstated. It boasts a massive consumer market, a swelling middle class, and a technology sector that is both ambitious and rapidly evolving. Its population, more than 4 billion people, is not just a statistic. It's a workforce. It's a source of ideas, a base for manufacturing, a wellspring of software development, and an engine of consumption. In this way, India's scale isn't just about numbers. It's about reach, leverage, and the ability to influence entire regions through economic and cultural strength. Its diversity is a power multiplier, driving innovation across sectors from pharmaceuticals to fintech. But scale without strategic targeting can be diffuse. It needs focus. It needs direction. It needs the kind of sharp edge that Israel brings. Israel is defined not by its landmass, but by its intensity, an intensity born out of necessity. Surrounded by threats, with limited natural resources, Israel has built a nation centered on adaptability, innovation, and elite performance. Its startup culture is unmatched in per capita terms. Its military and intelligence systems are among the most sophisticated in the world, and its ability to pivot rapidly from idea to execution is a skill honed over decades of both war and diplomacy. Israel doesn't just innovate, it refines, adapts, and operationalizes with exceptional speed. Its precision is in how it solves problems directly, efficiently, and often ahead of global trends. When these two strengths meet, India's scale and Israel's precision, a new model of partnership emerges. One where Israel's innovations can be deployed at scale across India's infrastructure. One where India's market size can test, stretch, and ultimately perfect Israel's technology. Imagine Israeli water purification systems solving water scarcity for entire Indian states. Picture Indian AI engineers optimizing Israeli, developed neural networks for national language processing. Visualize supply chains where Israeli cyber, defense protocols guard Indian digital commerce on a national scale. The synergy also stretches into defense. India has the manpower, the terrain, the logistical depth. Israel brings elite systems, Iron Dome, precision drones, intelligence software. When combined, this doesn't just improve deterrence. It reshapes the nature of response. Together, they create a framework where threats are not only neutralized but predicted, analyzed, and preempted. That level of strategic clarity and capability is rare, and it's transformative. There is a psychological dimension to this convergence as well. Both countries understand struggle, India through colonialism and post-colonial challenges, Israel through constant existential threats. They share a mindset that values resilience, a belief that survival is not enough, that excellence must be pursued as a matter of identity. This shared ethos helps form trust, a crucial, often invisible element in strategic partnerships. It enables direct communication, real cooperation, and long-term planning without the static of misaligned values. Economically, this partnership provides a runway for disruptive innovation to reach maturity. Israel often incubates groundbreaking ideas in medicine, energy, and AI, but these ideas need platforms, scalability, and real-world application. That's where India steps in, with its government's push for Make in India and Digital India. The country becomes not only a production hub but a testing ground for cutting-edge solutions. And because India faces real, immediate challenges, urban congestion, rural electrification, environmental sustainability, this is not theoretical deployment. This is tech meeting necessity, innovation meeting the street, the village, the city. Moreover, this alliance sends a message to the world that collaboration between democracies can still lead, that size and agility do not have to be in tension. They can be partners, that a rising global power like India and a hyper-performance innovator like Israel can skip the usual diplomatic slow dance and move directly into meaningful, functional cooperation. This convergence isn't a fleeting alignment of interests. It's a structural synthesis, rooted in the realities of two nations that are both old and new, both proud and hungry, both aware of the stakes and prepared to meet them. The future doesn't belong to the biggest or the fastest. It belongs to those who can bridge the gap between vision and execution. And that is exactly what this alliance is built to do. Joint defense, innovation, and cybersecurity dominance between India and Israel represents a powerful recalibration of 21st century security dynamics. In an era where threats have evolved beyond borders, beyond uniforms, and beyond traditional battlegrounds, the nature of defense itself must transform. India and Israel, by pooling their strengths, stand on the edge of defining what modern security looks like, not just for themselves, but for allied nations and regions looking for leadership in uncertain times. This isn't a matter of convenience. It's a matter of readiness, a matter of clarity, and above all, a matter of shared purpose. India brings scale, geography, and strategic depth to the table. Its military is among the largest in the world. Its defense infrastructure is vast, covering terrains that stretch from high-altitude borders to oceanic command centers. But it also faces multifaceted threats: cross-border terrorism, insurgencies, and growing cyber vulnerabilities that could paralyze civilian and military systems alike. Meanwhile, Israel brings a different kind of advantage: precision, speed, a history of rapid adaptation and innovation under pressure. Its military and intelligence capabilities are tailored not only for defense, but for preemptive action, for systems that learn and evolve in real time. Its focus on small unit tactics, cutting-edge drone technology, and AI-enhanced battlefield awareness makes it a natural partner for a country with India's breadth. Together, these nations can engineer a new doctrine, one that blends India's physical and regional scale with Israel's technological superiority. Imagine air defense systems jointly developed that not only intercept incoming threats, but also communicate across platforms in real time using machine learning to recalibrate responses mid-operation. Picture next-generation drones, built using Israeli miniaturization and optical technology, being deployed across India's rugged borders with autonomous route optimization, thermal detection, and remote neutralization capabilities. This isn't hypothetical, it's what's already beginning to take shape through their bilateral defense agreements and technology transfers. The realm of cybersecurity opens up an equally critical front. In today's world, cyber is the new battlefield. Infrastructure, banking systems, power grids, transport, media, everything is a target, and everything must be defended. Israel has long been recognized as a cyber powerhouse, with a deep bench of talent coming out of military intelligence units like Unit 8200. Its startups routinely lead the world in threat detection, encryption, and penetration testing. India, meanwhile, is a digital giant, with hundreds of millions of users connected to its digital economy. But that scale brings exposure, and exposure brings risk. The need for robust, scalable, and adaptive cyber defense has never been more urgent. This is where joint cyber innovation becomes a necessity. Indian software depth combined with Israeli expertise in system vulnerabilities creates a fusion that can defend both civilian and military assets. From developing sovereign grade firewalls to shared intelligence on threat vectors, from hardening 5G networks to building quantum-resistant encryption protocols, the cooperation is not just strategic, it's survival-oriented. These aren't piecemeal solutions. These are full-spectrum defenses, designed not to react to yesterday's attacks, but to anticipate tomorrow's. Even more crucial is the alignment of philosophy in this space. Unlike authoritarian regimes that use cyber tools for suppression and surveillance, both India and Israel are democracies. Their approach to cybersecurity, while firm, must also be rooted in accountability, transparency, and civil protections. That shared ethical foundation gives them credibility, not just in development but in global diplomacy around digital rights, data governance, and cyber treaties. This is where cybersecurity becomes more than a technical challenge. It becomes a diplomatic lever, a value-driven export, a signature of leadership. Defense innovation also extends to areas like simulation training, robotics, and unmanned ground vehicles. Israeli simulation technologies are being integrated into Indian training centers to prepare soldiers for hybrid warfare, blending conventional conflict with cyber and psychological operations. Meanwhile, India's growing interest in indigenization, building military hardware within its own borders, gets a boost from Israeli joint ventures that provide tech blueprints, supply chain access, and operational knowledge. This reduces dependency on other suppliers, strengthens domestic capacity, and ensures that sensitive technology stays under friendly control. Intelligence cooperation is another keystone. Real-time data sharing, facial recognition software, predictive analytics, these are no longer luxuries. They are essentials. Whether dealing with cross-border infiltrations or cyber propaganda campaigns, timely intelligence can be the difference between control and chaos. Israel's analytical frameworks and India's on-ground intelligence networks, when fused, form a layered defense shield that is hard to breach. What makes this partnership particularly potent is its focus on agility. Traditional defense alliances often move slowly, bogged down in bureaucracy and legacy systems, but the India-Israel axis thrives on rapid development cycles, co-developed missile systems, joint testing labs, shared R&D hubs that don't wait for crises to start innovating. This is defense that moves at the speed of threat, that builds not just weapons but ecosystems, that sees every breakthrough as a shared advantage. Agricultural and water tech collaboration between India and Israel represents one of the most quietly revolutionary aspects of their strategic alliance. While defense and cybersecurity tend to dominate headlines, the real test of resilience for any nation lies in its ability to feed its people, manage its resources, and sustain its ecosystem. In that regard, both India and Israel face critical challenges, but with distinctly different profiles that make them natural complements. India is vast, agriculturally rich yet struggling with inefficiencies, seasonal volatility, and water stress. Israel is compact, arid, and resource-limited, yet a global leader in agri, tech, and water innovation. Their collaboration becomes not just strategic, it becomes essential. India is the world's second largest producer of fruits and vegetables, and a leading exporter of rice, cotton, and spices. Yet a significant percentage of its farmers still rely on age-old methods, vulnerable to unpredictable monsoons, depleting groundwater, and rising input costs. Meanwhile, post-harvest losses remain high due to gaps in storage, supply chain, and irrigation management. Israel, on the other hand, has turned agricultural adversity into a scientific advantage. Born in a desert, the country learned to grow crops in harsh, saline soil, using minimal water and maximizing yield through precision techniques. It pioneered drip irrigation, greenhouse farming, and climate-controlled cultivation, not as a matter of luxury, but survival. That ingenuity now finds fertile ground in India's complex agricultural landscape. The Indo-Israel Agricultural Project (EAP) stands as a flagship of this cooperation, with dozens of centers of excellence set up across Indian states. These centers serve as hubs where Israeli know-how is adapted to local conditions, demonstrating best practices in crop management, protected cultivation, fertigation, and nursery techniques. Through them, Indian farmers learn not only what to grow, but how to grow more with less. Tomatoes with improved shelf life, pomegranates with higher export quality, vegetables grown in net houses that reduce pest damage and water use. These are not lab experiments. They are working solutions scaled across thousands of acres, boosting incomes and resilience at the grassroots level. Water management is another pillar of the partnership. India faces acute water stress in many regions, with agriculture consuming over 80% of its freshwater. Traditional flood irrigation methods lead to waste, soil erosion, and crop failure during dry spells. Israel, meanwhile, treats every drop as gold, with one of the highest rates of wastewater recycling in the world. Over 85% it uses treated water for agriculture through highly controlled systems. Precision irrigation ensures water is delivered directly to the root zone, in the exact quantity and time required, eliminating runoff and optimizing growth. Joint projects are now bringing these technologies to Indian fields. Israeli designed drip irrigation systems are being subsidized and deployed in drought-prone states like Maharashtra and Rajasthan. Mobile apps developed through joint ventures allow farmers to monitor soil moisture, receive real-time weather alerts, and calibrate irrigation schedules accordingly. These tools empower even smallholders with decision-making power previously reserved for large commercial farms. Hydroponics and vertical farming, techniques that allow food production in urban and semi-urban areas using minimal space and water, are also part of the collaborative horizon. Israeli companies are setting up pilot units in Indian cities, where population density and urban food insecurity pose serious long-term risks. These systems don't just grow food. They create local supply chains, reduce dependence on rural transport networks, and introduce fresh produce to city dwellers within hours of harvest. Capacity building is another layer of this partnership. Indian scientists, agronomists, and extension workers are regularly trained in Israeli institutions, while Israeli experts visit Indian districts to co-develop solutions that are locally viable. This is not a one-way transfer of technology, it's a co-creation model. It recognizes that scale and local variation in India require adaptation, not just adoption. Every agroclimatic zone demands tailored strategies, and Israeli companies working in India have increasingly localized their products, understanding that success here is measured not just in productivity, but sustainability. Digital agriculture is now entering the fold. Satellite imagery, AI-powered crop diagnostics, and smart sensors are being deployed in collaborative programs to predict pest outbreaks, optimize fertilizer use, and forecast yield outcomes. This is a leap for a country like India, where traditional knowledge coexists with cutting-edge science. Israeli startups bring the core algorithms and hardware. Indian partners provide data, context, and reach. Together, they form a feedback loop that benefits millions of cultivators. This alliance has economic implications as well. Israel finds a massive market for its agri-tech products, while India attracts investment in rural infrastructure and tech transfer. Farmers benefit from increased yield, reduced input costs, and better market access. Governments benefit from higher food security, reduced import dependency, and sustainable resource management. The private sector benefits from innovation pipelines that are both practical and scalable. AI and tech ethics rooted in democratic values form a crucial foundation for the India-Israel strategic alliance, distinguishing it from purely transactional partnerships and placing it firmly within a moral and philosophical framework that emphasizes responsibility, transparency, and human dignity. As artificial intelligence evolves at an unprecedented pace, its development, deployment, and regulation are becoming central issues for global leadership. The choices made today in the field of AI will shape the balance of power, individual freedoms, and economic futures for decades. In this landscape, India and Israel stand apart, not only for their technological capabilities, but for the ethical compass they bring to the conversation. India's strength lies in its scale and diversity, both of which make it a fertile ground for AI development. Its multilingual population, vast social datasets, and digital economy offer rich testing environments for machine learning models. From healthcare diagnostics to agricultural prediction models, India is using AI to address real-world problems. Its Digital India mission has accelerated the deployment of technologies like facial recognition, biometric identification, and predictive analytics across public services. However, with such expansion comes a greater need for ethical guardrails to prevent misuse, protect privacy, and maintain public trust. Israel, meanwhile, has become a global hotspot for AI innovation. It ranks among the top countries in terms of startups per capita, with deep expertise in cybersecurity, computer vision, natural language processing, and autonomous systems. Its AI solutions are tightly integrated into sectors like national defense, finance, healthcare, and mobility. What sets Israel apart is the rigor with which it tests these technologies in real-time scenarios under high-stakes conditions. But even in this environment, ethical considerations remain central, particularly as concerns grow around surveillance, algorithmic bias, and the militarization of AI. This is where democratic alignment plays a decisive role. Both nations, despite facing external threats and internal challenges, operate under constitutions that value individual rights, freedom of expression, and accountable governance. These values shape the way AI is imagined and implemented. It is not just about performance, it is about purpose. The AI being developed through this alliance is not aimed at control, but empowerment. It is designed to augment human capacity, not replace it. It seeks to protect societies from threats without compromising the very liberties it aims to defend. Joint initiatives are already being piloted that reflect this approach. AI-enabled tools for early disease detection, built on Indian health data and Israeli analytics frameworks, are being designed with patient privacy as a core feature. Education technologies that use adaptive learning algorithms are being developed with equity in mind, ensuring that underprivileged students are not left behind by digital shifts. Even in surveillance and national security applications, the focus is on precision and proportionality, minimizing collateral impacts, avoiding mass profiling, and ensuring judicial oversight where applicable. Research collaboration between Indian institutions and Israeli universities is another critical layer. Ethics by design is increasingly being integrated into engineering curricula, AI policy papers, and funding structure. Scholars from both nations are working on frameworks that address algorithmic fairness, explainability, and data protection in a culturally informed manner. This means creating systems that do not just comply with regulations, but embody ethical intent from inception. It also means recognizing that biases in AI are not merely technical flaws, but reflections of societal inequalities that must be acknowledged and corrected. There is also a strategic dimension to this ethical alignment. As authoritarian regimes push AI models that prioritize control, surveillance, and censorship, India and Israel have an opportunity to offer a compelling alternative, one where innovation is fast but not reckless, and where AI serves the public interest rather than state dominance. This positioning allows them to shape global standards, influence multilateral agreements, and lead conversations at international platforms like the UN, the OECD, and the G20. Their commitment to democratic tech ethics becomes not just a principle, but a competitive advantage. Tech entrepreneurship also benefits from this ethos. Startups in both countries are now pitching not only their products, but their ethical frameworks. This attracts responsible investment, builds long-term credibility, and helps open doors in markets sensitive to data rights and human oversight. Investors and regulators alike are beginning to recognize that ethical AI is not a constraint. It is a necessity for scalable, sustainable growth. The India-Israel model provides a blueprint for how this can be achieved without slowing innovation or stifling ambition. Public engagement is another area of collaboration. Both nations are investing in digital literacy programs to help citizens understand how AI affects their lives, what rights they have, and how to navigate an increasingly algorithm-driven world. This is a bottom-up approach to ethics, one that treats people not just as data subjects, but as stakeholders. It reinforces the democratic principle that technology should serve the people, not rule them. So to those watching from the sidelines, history is calling. You can either step aside or step up. India and Israel are stepping up. The Denzel Reclaim Plan is not just a document, it's a mission, a mindset. A movement because when two lions walk together, the jungle pays attention. Thank you.